what we're focused on here for both programs. All right, first up from TFS heat transfer number 14, we used delta H equals Cp delta T to find the initial enthalpy of water. What is stopping us from instead using that same formula to find the delta H between the superheated steam and the subcooled water? I tried that at first and it's incorrect. Just wondering why that doesn't work. Is it because they are two different states, liquid and vapor? Yeah, it's more than that though. So let's actually draw this out. And I'm pulling from like, high school chemistry at this point. So I understand if this stuff is a long time ago, you're not alone. Let me make sure my whiteboard is up because I want to draw. I have a picture in my brain that's burned in there. And if it's not in your brain, then I want to download it now. So if you think about, let's just talk about water. This is probably true for other substances too, but we work with water a lot for the PE. So it's a good example to think about. And you can draw this on like a chart. You almost don't have to, but oh, that's a really thick line. See, everything's different after a reboot. Even the little things. That's a wildly thick line. That's kind of thin. Maybe we'll split the difference. This has got to be painful to watch. I'm sorry, everyone. Can we just pretend that never happened? All right, cool. So let's draw it on like a TH diagram. But even if you didn't have axes here, you could still use this picture that we're about to draw. So let's imagine that we have some ice. We'll start with ice. And this ice is not at its freezing point. It's colder. So it's like ice cubes from your freezer. They're like, 10 or 15 degrees. So if we want to melt them, we start warming them up and we increase their temperature, but they don't start melting right away because they're too cold. So we're adding heat energy, right? We're adding enthalpy. So we're going to the right and we're increasing the temperature. And that's, let's just imagine that's happening linearly. And that's all that happens until we get to the freezing point. And then when we get to the freezing point, 32 degrees, they start melting, right? And they change phase from a solid to a liquid, but they don't change temperature. So now the line isn't sloped anymore. It's a horizontal line. So what's the difference between these two processes? The first process, this is the process of heating ice, is sensible heating. So I'll put a little S here. Why is it sensible? Because it changes the temperature. That's what sensible means. And then the process of melting the ice is latent. I'm using a lowercase l. I could probably use a capital L there, but I don't want to be confusing. So this is melting. And I'm assuming that we're going from left to right. We could obviously run this playbook in reverse and we could freeze the ice and then make it colder still. And then what happens after all of the ice is melted and changed to liquid water? Well, now we have to increase its temperature even more. And all of a sudden we're doing sensible heating again. So that's the process of heating water. And then we're going to go horizontal again. Once we get to the point where that water is 212 degrees, it's at its boiling point, we add more heat. What happens? The temperature doesn't change. It just changes phase. We have more phase change. We call that process boiling. That's latent as well. And then what happens if we continue to heat the steam, right? Now we have 212 degree steam. Add more heat. What do we get? Sensible heating of the steam. We can make it hotter, but now all of it has changed phase. So that's the sensible heating of steam. Okay, and like I said, we can run that whole thing in reverse as well. So in this sequence, there's 3 stages where we're doing sensible heating or cooling. When we have all ice, all solid, all water, all liquid, or all steam, all vapor. But in between, we have phase change, and that's the latent transfer of energy. Okay, so why am I telling you all this to answer your question about H equals Cp delta T? When does that apply? When does it not? Well, it applies to sensible heat transfer. And by the way, we often write this as Q dot S equals M delta H, which equals mCp delta T. So this version, this mCp delta T, only applies to the sensible ones. So you can only use it inside of those lines. You can start using it here, and you can use it up to here, or anywhere in between. But you can't go into this world with mCp delta T because you'll be missing something. You have a change in enthalpy that doesn't bring a corresponding change in temperature. Then you can use it again from here to here, but you can't use it in here. And then you can use it again from here to here. Now, the Cp, the specific heat capacity of liquid water, is different from the specific heat capacity of solid ice, which is different from the specific heat capacity of vapor, steam. So the CPs are going to be different. M delta H, I guess I should put a dot here if we want it to be a dot. You could also not have the dot as long as you're consistent. M delta H is more powerful because it allows you to cross these boundaries. I can go from anywhere, I'll grab another color, I can go from anywhere to anywhere else. Doesn't matter if it's straight line, curved line, if it goes across from one to another, it's all allowed. So, so you might say, well, then m delta H is preferred, but it's not always as convenient to go and get the enthalpy value. So you kind of have to decide what's going to make sense. Um, Inside of these, let's say you're starting from ice and going up to the point of having liquid water, you can use Q latent equals, I'm going to say, I would say m delta H, but really a better thing to say would be m dot times HF. And to write it all out, you might see this different ways, but it's fusion, which is the opposite of melting. So melting is turning a solid into a liquid. Fusion would be, yeah, turning a liquid into a solid would be fusion. Turning a solid into a liquid would be melting. So, but it's the latent heat of fusion, which is a number for water that you can look up somewhere. And that would describe this. And then you could write a different equation for what happens in here, which is the transition from liquid water to steam or back, right? Whether it's boiling or condensing. And that would be m dot HFG. So we don't use this one a whole lot. It's out there. You should be aware of it. But we use this one all the time, every time we're in the steam tables. Like, what is HFG? HFG is the latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of vaporization. And it's different at different pressures. So that's why we need the steam tables, because it's not just one number. Like for a lot of situations, it ends up being about 1,000-ish. It might be like 970. But that's not something you want to just like take and memorize and use. You want to go find out exactly what it is for the specific situation that you're dealing with. So let's bring that full circle and make sure we're answering your question. We use Cp delta T to find the initial enthalpy of water. What's stopping us from instead using that same formula to find delta H between superheated steam and subcooled water? That's because we'd be going, let's get even another color. You know, if we're superheated steam, we're way up here. If we're subcooled water, we're way down here. So if we do that, the temperature change, let's draw that on the vertical axis, is only going to be from here. Ooh, I got colors. That's cool. It's only going to be this from a temperature perspective. But what about all the enthalpy that was involved in changing the phase from a solid to a liquid and changing the phase from a liquid to a vapor? That's all missing. All of that enthalpy change. We'll capture all of the sensible, even if it's across, well, no, I mean, even then you couldn't do it because you have three different CPs. So it's a problem to span. Anytime you're spanning from one of these lines to another, you're dipping into that other territory, you got to go to enthalpy. You can only really use mCpΔT and have it be a clean one-shot deal if you're on one of these slanted lines and the whole entirety of what you're looking at lives within one of those lines. As soon as you go over to another area, all bets are off. So probably a little more context than you were asking for there. But the reason I wanted to kind of do that right off the bat tonight is because there's going to be a couple other questions that are either tangentially related or very similar to that question. And we can call right back to those same ideas. They got to be really solid for everyone.